from this sixth dimension, the dimension of an essentialist concept of both the nation and the nationals, what we can conclude here is that commemoration, for example, commemoration of the so-called national days in the United States, should be commemorated in a non-essentialist way. So, as I mentioned before, commemoration is part of any society. When there is a commemoration, there is looking at the past, but from alternative ways of looking at the master narrative, commemoration should be considered in a critical way and not in an essentialist way. So in other words, we had the possibility of looking at the commemoration events as something which is also historical. We don't commemorate forever and ever. We don't commemorate since ever. We commemorate as making something, doing something that started in a historical moment and has a number of historical reasons. So precisely for that reason, commemorations change. And this is what, in my opinion, is happening nowadays in many places, that the commemorations are really experimenting and suffering a number of changes, okay? Well, let's go to the last part of my presentation, which are some of the main theoretical challenges for from these issues. Well, I think we really need dialogical practices through historical comparison. Well, what do I mean? Well, I mean that we really need, in order to understand intercultural dialogues from a historical point of view, in order to understand historical comparisons, in order to understand history from different points of view, taking into account different cultural origins, we need to go forward these dialogical practices. So these dialogical practices, on one hand, could provide a better understanding of history. So, on the other hand, they would be also very, very useful in order to achieve non-exclusive identities. Why is it important today to achieve non-exclusive identities? Because I think we need today a role of identity and collective memory from a critical point of view. I use the word ironic in my presentation. Okay, you see in my presentation essentialist versus ironic. Ironic in the sense of critical, in the sense of reflective. Okay, so if we teach history in order to produce essentialist identities, I think this is, on one hand, not very useful for transmitting historiographical ideas. So if we transmit just essentialist view of identities, what we are doing is just reproducing collective memories, but we are not really providing possibilities of understanding the past from a critical point of view. And this is what really history is providing, okay? So history is not just the reproduction of the past, okay? History is a reflection which should be critical, should open possibilities of giving more alternative views to the past, okay, and this is what I think is very essential for a complex understanding of history. Okay, so well, this is basically my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. Here you have a number of part of my research. I hope you have found my presentation interesting. It's really a pity I cannot be with you, as I mentioned before, personally, and also I would like to be more, let's say, in having the possibility of answering your questions. But you know, I am now in Argentina, so we have 5 hours difference, and it will be very complicated for me to be really at exactly the same time you are getting this presentation. But I hope it's going to be useful for you. Well, thank you very much. I hope see you soon in personally. Thank you. Bye.
Kıymetli hocalarımız, bir küçük hatırlatmamız olacak. Normalde program kitapçıklarında öğleden sonraki oturumların saat 1'de başlayacağı yazıyordu ama 1.30'da başlatacağız. Fakat akşam yemeğinde herhangi bir kayma olmamasını öngörüyoruz. Bunu bilgilerinize arz edelim.